Welcome to Your Turn Board Games. I'm April, and today I'm going to be talking about Harmonies. This is a beautiful game about building a landscape created for putting your animals on, and I think by the end of this video you should be able to play the game, learn the rules, and above all, have fun. So let's get started. As you can see here, I have already pre-set up the game, but let's talk about the 6 steps that you have to do first in order to set up the game. First, you have to decide between the 2 players, or depending on if you have 4 players, which side of the board you want to play. I currently have this set up for side A. If you're new to the game of Harmonies, you want to start with side A. If you've played multiple times, there is side B, but for today's purposes, I'm going to start with side A. Okay, next I placed all the tokens inside the baggie, and I have already pre-set up the spinner in the middle. It's not really a spinner, but so this will be the side that is for one player. This will be the side for everybody to play. Okay, now next you're gonna place on the 5 tiles, you're gonna place 3 randomly selected pieces, which I've already pre-set up. Next, I'm going to put out my 5 animal cards. They were already shuffled and I placed 5 at random. I have my draw pile at the top of the deck and I have my animal tokens ready to go. Next, I put out my scorecard just to kind of see what kind of points I can get as I'm playing along. All right, so now let's talk about your turn. So as I was stating earlier, you will notice on the board that there is a pointer. The pointer is to say who the first player is going to be. Now it's decided that the player has to be the one that has seen the most beautiful landscape. But since I'm the only one explaining it today, it looks like it's going to be me talking about it. So for your first turn, you are required to take one of the 5 pieces. Now keep in mind, you want to look at the animal cards as well because you want to also be able to build some of these landscapes. The idea is that you build the landscapes so that your board is filled up and you can get to maximize the most points. So later in the video, I will show you how to score the points. So when placing the tokens, it must always be on an empty space. So at random, I'm going to take this one, for example. So I have a blue, a green, and a brown. Now, keeping in mind, certain pieces can be placed on top of each other. So I can actually, as I'm placing my piece, remember this is all open, so I can choose any piece for right now. I have a brown and a green. I can actually place this on top of each other. And that would actually already get me 3 points. Pretty easy to get some points. Now, as I'm looking at my cards, you can take a card, but you can also wait for the time being. Now you will notice that I'm already starting to kind of craft some of these. Now if I wanted to take a card, I could. I could pull down this card. The next card is immediately replaced. And then I would take my animal tokens to place on that. Another thing you could do is you can also do buildings. Buildings are a little bit different. So I'm going to use some examples from here. So buildings can be placed with a gray, a brown, or a red tile. Okay, so I'm going to kind of just place them at random, just to give you a little idea. And you place a red token on top. So this would be how a building is placed. But later in the game, I will also explain how you get the points for that, because you want to make sure that you build things around that to get you the points. Okay, so that's how you would get points for building a building. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, you have 2 options also once you take your mandatory pieces from the tile, from the middle. You also have the option of taking an animal card from the 5 that are face up right here. You place the card above your board. So like I was saying, I was trying to craft this one while we were talking. And let's just say, for example, I already had this configuration, okay? If I had this configuration, I take my animal tokens and I could place them onto the board like so. So keep in mind, this is the points that you can get per card. Now, this configuration can work in any way on the board. Now, if it could be like this also still creates the same formation. It could be here, and so on. Next, if you want to, you're allowed to place that animal token. So I could take this off and I could place it on top of my animal token. Okay? Now, keep in mind, when you're doing your cards, you can only have a maximum of 4 cards at a time. It is advised for your first time that you don't worry about as many cards, just so that you can learn the play of the game. Then you take the animal cubes from your reserve, right here, and you place it depending on how many squares or how many animals you're able to place. So like right here, like I said, I had 3, so I'm able to play 3 cards, or 3 tiles. Now, I also mentioned that there is a second option to place the animal cube. Okay, so I kind of jumped ahead when I was talking about it, but your second action is to place the animal cube. And like I said, you can actually place multiple animal cubes, but I can't actually place like 2 animals on top. This is a big no-no. You can only place 1 animal at a time on top. Now, given if I had different options for my game, and say I had this card also, I can actually play this one as well. Let's just say I had this configuration already pre-set up on my board. Now, I also do the same thing. I take my animal tokens and I put them on there. And say I want to place an animal on this one, on top of the red building. I would take it off of this 5 and I could place it on top. When you may not want to place it would be if you have a different pattern in mind, different card you're trying to do. Would be an only time that you may not want to place that animal right on top. So the habitat pattern must be created exactly on your personal board, so just like I was saying here. However, like I said, you can place it in any direction. It doesn't have to be exactly on the board just like that. The token on which the animal cube is to be placed within the habitat must be unoccupied, meaning there can't be another tile right here. You have to have an unoccupied space. And like I was explaining earlier with the buildings can be placed, but they have to have a different bottom. So meaning you have the red, the brown, or the gray. So now, how does the game end? In Harmonies, there are 2 different ways that the game can actually end. The first would be is if this pouch actually runs out of all the tiles. Now keep in mind when you're playing the game, you refill the tiles every single time after every play. Now the game would end if you are not able to refill the central board. The second way would be is if my board was already pretty much filled up, but there is only 2 or less unoccupied spaces on your personal board. And then you go through the scoring round, you add up how many points you have, and that ends the game. As you can see here, I have different scenarios of different ways that you can on top of each other. I get 0 points for this one. For this 1 green leaf, I get 1 point. For this one where I have 1 brown and 1 green on top, I actually get 3 points for this one. For this one, because I was able to stack 2 brown and 1 green on top of the other one, then I get 7 points. So that explains trees. So now let's move on to mountains. As you can see here, I have the mountains set up. If you will notice one thing, they are all touching. And that is one of the only ways that you will get the points to score the mountains. So as you can see here on our card, if you have the mountains are not touching, like say this mountain was over here, this piece would actually not count for anything. And it would just be a 0 on your score. But if I have it next to each other, one would be worth 1 point. If I have 2 mountains, like right here, 1, 2, that would give me 3 points. This one would give me 1, 2, 3, which would give me the 7 points. So if I have these connected together, that's how I get points for the mountains. Fields work a little bit differently because with fields, you score 5, that would really maximize your score. So if you look right here, I have 2 that are touching, so this is 5 points. Now I do have all of these that are touching, but this too is also only worth 5 points. Now if I want to spread out my points during the game, if I spread it out, then this would actually count as 3 different fields. So you want to make sure you maximize the points as much as you can to get that 5 points. Okay, so that is fields. I'm going to remove these just so I can show you how the water works. Now remember, this is side A of my board. Side B on the other side looks slightly different. It's the same thing but in a different configuration. Now remember, you want your water pieces to be touching when playing this game. So I'm just laying this out here as an example. The length of the river determines the number of points you earn. Count the number of tokens from one end of the river to the other end. Okay, so for this example, I'm using my card to kind of help me gauge how much I'm actually getting. So for just one, I would get 0, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm looking on my chart, 5 would actually get me 11 points. So you just want to make sure that they are all touching. Buildings work a little bit differently. You want to have at least one red token placed on the top of a brown, gray, or a red token. As you can see here, I've kind of created a little scenario in my case. Now, you only score points based on if you have different colors surrounding the red tokens. Now, this also can include a red token, but if it doesn't touch at least 3 other ones, then you don't get any points. So you score 5 for each of the buildings. But like I say, only if it's surrounding 3 different ones. So if you can see here, I have 1 red, 1 blue, 1 green, yet 1 yellow. So I actually have 4 different colors in this particular scenario. But up here, this one only has the green and the blue. So it actually doesn't get anything for the building points. So I don't get any points for that one. And that's how you count scores in this particular part of the game. And then we'll move on to animals. So now I want to talk about how to score the animals. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you will notice on the card that there are different cubes based on however many are on there is how many animal cubes you're going to place. Now, I have 3 here, so I have 1, 2, 3 animals that I can place. Now, at the end of the game, if you are not actually able to place any of the animals or you just forgot, you actually don't earn any points for those. Based on however many animals you place from those cards, so say I placed this one on here, and I had placed this one on here, between these 2 cards, I would have earned 9 points because I have 5 here from an empty space and I have 4 here. Now, had I been able to play some of these others, I would have gotten I would have maxed out on the points that I would have actually gotten for those. But for this purpose, I'm only going to say that I had gotten the 5 here and I had gotten the 4 here. So now we have reached the scoring part of the game. So as you can see here, I have a board set up and how I'm going to score it. So I'm going to teach you how to do the scoring part of this game. First thing you'll notice on your score pad is there is a green, gray, yellow, red, and blue. So looking at your board, you're going to count up each of the scores. So as I explained earlier in the video, when you have the brown and the green, you get 3 points for each one of those. So I currently have 2 of those, so I will get 6 points for that, which I've already tallied here. Next is the mountains. Mountains have to be continuous. So in my example here, I have 2 mountains that are continuous. They are both touching, so each one of those is worth 3 points. So this will give me 3, 6. So here, now I have my 6 points. Okay, the next one is yellow. Now, if you remember in the yellow, they have to be touching as well. If I have 3 right here, this only counts as 5 points. So I have 1 field, 2 field, 3 field. So I have 5, 10, 15 points, which is shown here. Next, I have my buildings. Now, if you notice on the score track, it says -2 plus 3. What this means is you have to have at least 3 buildings to be touching in order to get the maximum amount of points. If you only have 2 of the colors that are touching, you only get 0 points. Okay, so let's look at our board. So in this example, I have 1 yellow, 1 blue, and I don't have a 3rd one. So what happens is I don't get any points for this building. I'm gonna look at this building and I have a gray and a blue, and I'm looking around, I don't have another one for that one. So this one is another 0 points. This one has a blue, green, a red, because you can also have another red, and a yellow touching, and that will get you the 5 points. The same for this one. So I have these ones all touching. So I have a green, blue, yellow, and I have the red on this side. So that's another point. So I will get 10 points for that. Last is the river. And counting up, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of my river that are all touching continuously. I look at my score track and I get 15 points for that one. Adding it all up, on this side I have 52 points. Next is you count the animals and the spirit animals. In my example today, I didn't do the spirit animals, so I only did the regular animals. So for each of the ones on the cards, I was able to get the 4 and the 9 points. So I add each one of the animals that I was able to place. Adding those up, I get 26. So last you do 52 plus 26, adding up both columns. Altogether, my score is 78. And that concludes the scoring round of the game. Whoever has the highest score wins. So I hope you are able to now feel confident enough to play Harmonies. I found this to be a truly wonderful game. It's brand new in 2024. I think that it's beautifully well designed. It kind of reminds me of certain other games. And so I hope you enjoyed this how to play. As always, we hope that you like the video, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you know every time we shoot a new video. And as always, friends, I'm April, and we're gonna go out there and find more board games. Now that you finished watching this video, be sure to check out our other videos. Please also like the video, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the gaming fun. There's more games out there. Let's go play them.